when an application comes in, all right, how important are the three aspects? And we're talking about, one is obviously the grades that the person achieved. Second is, the extracurricular activities that they've been doing
Right.
outside. And the third is just the personality of the person that comes through either in the application or, in the interview.
Right.
How do you want to break this up?
So Gaurav, it's like this. Ultimately, we have to realize we are applying for an educational degree. So grades are going to be important.
Right.
What is more important or equally important, what you've scored is the consistency. And that's somewhere where I feel a lot of Indian students end up losing out, because we have this habit of peaking in grade 10, crashing in grade 11, ki ji chutti hai, and trying to go up in grade 12.
Right.
So that lack of consistency is definitely a big factor, and that's something that needs to be avoided at all costs.
Right.
Extracurriculars, it's important to understand, why do universities look at extracurricular? So one is, they're saying we want to understand, do you actually know what you're studying? Do you understand how you can apply that knowledge? How does it actually go out in the real world and get applied?
Right.
What are the various variables that come into play? So extracurriculars come there, or something which you actually call supercurriculars, related to your curriculum.
Sure.
So you do a project, you do some internship, which is related to subject you want to study. Extracurriculars, whether it's sports, it's your debating, it's Model United Nations, it's community service, etc.
Right.
These come into the area which is something about leadership, something about the younger generation taking their place in the world today. Do you have it in you to actually go out and create an impact?
Right.
Why is that important? Because these top universities realize that you are going to be an ambassador for their university once you leave.
Right.
What is the type of person they want carrying their flag for eternity?
Yeah.
That's a very important thing to understand. If you don't understand why extracurriculars are important,
right,
you're just going to go back to saying, "Acha ji, mere paas certificates to hai ji, what's the problem?" It's not about the certificates.
Yeah.
It's about the experiences you've lived through and what have you learned from them that comes through the extracurricular. Personality, yes, interviews are there. With the advent of technology, many universities are going in for what one could call recorded interviews.
Right.
They want to get some face time with the student.
Right.
And what they're really looking at is clarity of thought. Why do you want to come to us? Why do you want to study this? What are your future plans? They're looking for that.
Right.
The other thing that they really want to understand is get to know the student better. Marks tells us one side of the story.
Right.
But what is it that you are outside the classroom?
Yeah.
Do you play an instrument? Is there something unique about your family that, is impacting you? Are you someone who comes from a particular geographical area?
Sure.
So those are all things that colleges are looking at. Why are they looking at? Again, it's not just about saying diversity is a buzzword.
Right.
It's about saying that if my classroom and if my entire student cohort is diverse, it is heterogeneous,
right,
I'm giving those many more opportunities to them to learn about newer things, understand perspectives, become more well-balanced human beings. We've all heard this term, Gaurav, 21st century skills. If you break it down, okay, AI is, or how to handle data is important.
Right.
But everything else about 21st century skills about relationships. How do you deal with each other?
Yeah.
And that's really something that colleges look at.
Right.
So these three things are important. Yes, you'll have a mix. There will be some kids who'll picked up only for grades, just like there'll be a kid who'll be picked up because he's won a youth Olympic medal.
Right.
But they bring so much more to the table. So understand what works for you, understand your passions. And when we spoke earlier about starting our preparation, class 6, class 9, it's not just academics, it's all these things. Okay. You could be playing an instrument, you could be playing chess, right, you could be a voracious reader.